Greetings, everybody. It's the Garlic Bread Warlord, Nick Leafy, and it is soccer over there. It is 1 week after our magnificent, wonderful live show. I promised you guys it would be an insane show from Rira, and it was. Thank you so much to everyone who came and showed out. And better more. Better more, is that even a thing? I don't know. I don't care because I'm talking about donations and all the wonderful donations that you guys put in. We raised what, guys? What, $1,000? Jason, John?
Yeah, over
$1,000. And that only happens when wonderful people show up with a sense of generosity and kindness in their hearts. And you guys know that I tend to take things over the top, but I really mean this. Thank you so much for coming out for a great cause. And this past weekend, we actually had the Nations Cup. And I have to give a special plaudits to Jessica Sharman, who really put this thing together. Whenever we were talking about doing a live version of soccer over there and using it as a fundraiser, she started texting me like at 8 o'clock in the morning. Nick, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? We need, what about live locations? What about this? And then I would say, who do you think we should use? She goes, hey, I have like 3 people on speed dial. I'll be right back with you. She comes back in 5 minutes. Boom. We have a couple of bars ready to go. We need a beer vendor. I got a meeting with somebody on Tuesday. I cannot tell you guys how all over this she was. And it showed on Sunday because the tournament went off without a hitch, especially for the UK team who won. The Dutch were absolutely incredible. Belgium was really good. I think I'm just going to say that, look, we made the playoffs, okay? We made the playoffs along with Team Colombia. And so we did not get the dream showdown of Alifi versus Sharman and Felipe Cardenas that we wanted. However,
and Kelly Francis.
And Kelly Francis. And next year, though, Kelly, Jessica, Felipe, I'm just letting you guys know, sign up for the same teams again. Because
is this just the excuse hour of? Is this just like the Nick Alifi?
Jarrett
why
just
we
comes in
playoffs?
over the top, off the top rope with the elbow out of nowhere.
My
like
God, that's my
dragon
music.
in Westeros. Here comes Jarrett.
There's only one of those left, so.
Who's the fourth man? It's Jarrett.
Hour.
Not unlike my knees, only one functioning one remains.
Now, even though I have 2 torn quads, calcium deposits in the knees, partially torn ligaments in the elsewhere, I did okay. My touch was absent game 1, but come game 2 and 3, things were getting put together quite well. So, but yeah, and you guys have to deal with this now, ha ha ha. But Jason and John were there, and they were shaking hands, kissing babies, making themselves known. Jason got on the microphone and had to deal with a little bit of UK on US crime by the announcer, who was awesome as always. But Jason handled himself quite well. So again, they raised over what, guys? 50,000?
Yes, over 50K.
50K. And this happens again because you all are crazy and you're also very generous. But guys, soccer over there, not always so generous. The owners of Bolton have decided they're not going to pay their players because I guess they don't have enough money in the damn accounts. So, John, what is going on with Bolton, and why can't these clowns pay their players?
Well, Ken Anderson would be the clown in question, sir. The alleged clown. And Tuesday would be tomorrow. It will have been 2 months of unpaid wages at Bolton. And the players got to the point to where they were so sick and tired of hearing promises from Ken Anderson of, oh, yeah, I got a dude who's going to buy the team and y'all are going to get paid. And it was former Watford owner Lawrence Bassini, who was supposedly in line and was making 7-figure payments to escrows and all that kind of stuff. It got to the point where in the middle of last week, so basically about a week ago, the players for Bolton had enough. They'd had all they could stands. They can't stands no more. And they basically protested and sat out the match that was supposed to be played against Brentford this past Saturday. So no match was held, and they're already relegated and heading to League One. And they're supposed to have another match to the last one of the regular season against Nottingham Forest this Saturday. Everyone starts same time, all that kind of stuff. And the players still have not said whether or not they're coming to play in this last match. And this match against Brentford that is being mandated to be played could even be played 2 days after the season ends, so they can actually have players to play it. And it could be the youth sides that actually play these last two matches. So, yeah, Ken Anderson is not making any friends right now if you're a Bolton Wanderers fan. And he's sitting there saying, okay, well, if Bassini can't do it, then there's other guys. And trust me, I'm going to get them, and y'all are going to get paid. And the players are like, nah, fam, we're good.
Yeah, the latest update from NBC Sports Soccer is that potential owner Lawrence Bassini missed a deadline on Monday to provide proof of his financial capital. Ken Anderson had made the deadline before the weekend. The players refused to play because they haven't been paid for the month. Now, according to the Times, it looks like Bassini will not become the club's new owner. And this is a club in Bolton that is the 7th oldest club in England. 1874 is when Bolton Wanderers launched. There's only 6 clubs that are older than Bolton, and they're basically at the risk now of not existing. It's beyond relegated, penalties, this, that. Like, they're at the risk of going away. And they would be the oldest club to do so. And I don't know what other options are there. I mean, Ken Anderson can say what he wants, but he has, no real value in any of those words anymore. So you're in a situation where the Bolton Wanderers football club could disappear.
And he's even looked into putting the club into administration, which is what he was looking at doing earlier this month. So you'd be relegated to League One and in administration, which would start you at minus 12 points next season in League One.
But look, who cares? Like, that's the thing. Is beyond, like,
pay the players.
Beyond all of that, exist. Don't go out of business. Like, that's number one here. This is not just, a random club. This is not the AAF with clubs that have lasted for a few months. This is 1874. Like, figure out how to keep the thing alive. You're talking generations after generations after generations. You go to administration, You take a penalty. Who cares? Exist. You're at that stage now. It's beyond anything else. Just exist. Just do what you have to do, Ken Anderson.
No, this is getting to the...
you guys care about that. Does Ken Anderson care about that?
No.
Ken Anderson doesn't care about that. It's his money. He cares about his money. He doesn't care about an organization that is not going to, or a club that's not going to exist anymore. That doesn't bother him. 75 years, 85 years, however long it's been, and it doesn't matter to him. What matters to him are the zeros in his checking account and what his financial advisors say he can spend and what he can't spend.
Well, what's the deal about taking him into administration then? If he can do it, why isn't he doing it?
Because your financial advisor will call you up and say, Mr. Anderson, we know that you're running this business, but understand that you have invested. There's too much risk in your investment right now, and you are jeopardizing your long-term wealth if you continue this spending. We suggest you pull back and issue no more funds to said business. At that point,
then give it away. Then give it away.
I agree.
Give it to the Supporters Trust for $1.
But
give it to something for whatever, and then they can take it into administration and they can try to save it. I mean, you're at that point where, okay, you don't want to do it and you're worried about your long term. Cool, get it, understand. Then give it away. Don't make the club go away. That's the part that's not okay in any of this.
Jarrett, your thoughts?
Hey, Mike, because I've only got 3 here, and I only know one showing up.
So yeah, we went from me getting my French guillotine arm getting loose with this whole thing at first to me getting the Jean-Paul Sartre arm getting loose of just exist, as Jason said. I mean, we've gone from off with their heads to God, y'all just be. Damn.
And the strike got the full backing of the PFA.
But the thing is, though, guys, is that this is a club that still has value, and that you can sell it. But Ken Anderson, this is where I do agree with you guys, is that Ken Anderson needs to take the first reasonable offer. The key word is reasonable, and no investor is good. They will sit and wait, just like a stock, to hit its lowest point before they buy it. And in this case, if it goes too low, obviously you know, is it worth the investment at that point? But there needs to be an owner who comes in, a potential owner who comes in and says, look, I will buy this from you now. Here is what is what we believe to be a reasonable offer based on the true valuation of the club. Here's an independent arbiter's idea of what the value of the club is. Sell it now and walk away. That's what Ken Anderson needs to do. Whether or not he does it, who knows? But you got to pay your players. And
yes.
You have to, because that's part of your valuation is the players and their ability to put butts in the seats. And the minute you allow players to walk away, essentially you're saying that you don't mind if the club devalues to beyond an acceptable point.
And it's got to a point where fans are turning on the players, and it's just, I mean, it's ugly all the way around. It sounds like he's withheld money since February.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I mean, you're going that far back. I don't know. You've got to, whatever it takes at this point, that the league, that the FA, whatever it's going to take to keep this club alive, do it. I mean, like Nick said, this is a viable club. This is a club that was in the Premier League not all that long ago. You used to have the infrastructure to be that type of club. I think you could probably get back there with the right type of investment, but just do it right.
Yeah, I mean, right now, the latest wind-up order, which is basically the IRS saying, you got to pay, $1.2 million is owed, and it's the sixth time that they've gotten a wind-up order in the last 18 months. And right now you're looking at liquidation, administration, but really you need to get somebody in there who can take care of the 1.2 and just get it as far away from Ken Anderson as humanly possible. You've had a fullback on the team who's basically said, I'm handing in my notice, I'm quitting, I'm out the door. So you're having players who are just outright leaving now.
And the problem in this is that you have like Reggiana, where you had Mike Piazza come and buy the team.
Oh.
You have to be very careful.
That's what you're running now,
yeah. Because the first group of people who will show up are going to be the ones who, like Bassini, who cannot afford it. They claim to have investments, but they may not have enough liquid assets necessary to really support the team as it should be supported. And you're going to get these clowns who come jumping in saying, yeah, sure, I can fund a team. I've always wanted to run a football team. And unfortunately, you're just not in the same bracket as those who are capable of funding a club like this. So you have to be very careful right now if you're Bolton. The first reasonable offer, when I say reasonable offer, is not just the dollar amount that someone is willing to pay for the club, but also their ability to provide viable, sustainable funds to keep that club operational. Even if it's League One, again, like you guys say, be operational, but we also have to explain what that means as well. So it's a key thing that they find people who are capable of making that kind of long-term financial support. So.
Yeah, you're at a point where Anderson released a statement on Bolton's website on Saturday after the game was postponed, and talked about how difficult it's been dealing with Bassini. He said he's constantly changed lawyers. They're talking to the fourth or fifth firm of lawyers. And this is the one that I think shows where you're at right now. Anderson writes this, quote, I note that he has gone on record and stated that he transferred £1 million yesterday to the club, but as far as I am aware, all he did was get a relation to transfer £1 million to the family solicitor. This would not enable him to pay the player salaries that he has been promising to pay every day for the last week. That's where this is.
Yeah, so Milan went through this a couple years ago where Berlusconi was, because of all of the numerous lawsuits and court battles he had to fight, he needed extra funding. And so we started hearing about this guy named this infamous Mr. B, who was apparently a Southeast Asian investor who loved Milan and wanted to support the club and help booster the transfer kitty. And we kept hearing time and time again about how this magical Mr. B was going to come in and support us. And what did we do? But, the reports came out that the guy was like almost non-existent. There was nothing there, right? And then you got the Chinese consortium that came in after that with the same promise. Hey, we're going to support the club, sell us the club. We can operate it the way it should be operated. This will be a huge deal in China. And what happened, guys? It was monopoly money. There was nothing there. So these bums are waiting. They're vultures, and they will buy a diminishing asset just because they think they can make a quick buck off of it. And that's where Bolton is right now. You have to maintain a certain level of success. Had they tried selling the club earlier, we probably wouldn't be here dealing with the bottom of the barrel. But here we are. Now we have to hope that there's some millionaire/billionaire who comes in and says, yeah, sure, I'll buy your diminishing asset for a ridiculously cheap fund. No problem. Do the due diligence on me. My funds are verifiable. But guys, that's not going to happen. Sadly, I think this is going to end up with Bolton being officially wound up by her Her Majesty's Her Majesty's Treasury. Who's going to actually do the
the HMRC is the long title. And it's basically the Great Britain version of the IRS. Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs.
Yep. When anyone knocks on your door and says, I'm representing the crown, that's very rarely a good thing. I think history has shown us.
Jump out the window.
Yeah, just jump out the window, my guy, and just go.
Run away.
People who do not have financial troubles at the moment are those in the Champions League. And when we get done taking this break...
Yet. Or they do have them and they've just been kind of, excused.
That's correct. And when we get back from the break, we will jump into Champions League coverage. Stay tuned because we're going to be making our picks on tomorrow's game and Wednesday's game. So stay right here. Nick, Jason, John, and Jarrett, who's popping in like whack-a-mole. We'll be right back on Soccer Over There.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
All right, we are back from break. Thanks for sticking with us. We appreciate it. And guys, Champions League, It's money time. Big money clubs. We're done talking about small money clubs.
What?
If you're not making dollars, you're not making sense. And so right now it is Tottenham versus Ajax tomorrow, 3 p.m. Who you got? Put it on the board.
This is a very, very, very interesting one, isn't it?
Indeed, sir.
First leg's at Tottenham.
Woo.
Can Tottenham make the Champions League final?
No.
I don't think so. Wow, both of you. Why are you so bold in saying that? Like, so you're going Ajax too. You're all picking Ajax to beat Tottenham.
At this point, I'm really struggling not to take Ajax.
Why?
I'm kind of I'm right now with that team. I am in a until you don't win a game. I'm assuming you're just going to win these games because you're going out there and beating teams in their own building in ways we did not expect. I don't think they'll go into Tottenham and win.
No.
I guess I'll go first here. I think Tottenham wins this at home, but I think it's like 1-0, 2-0. And when it gets back to Ajax, all bets are off because if they come out of the gates like they have been and get that first goal, it turns into TBS for 80-plus minutes for Tottenham. Until Ajax just doesn't look like they belong, I'm not inclined to sit here and say they don't belong. And they seem to not really understand the part that up until a couple of weeks ago, they weren't expected to be here. They're playing like they belong. After what they did to Juventus on their own field, I can't bring myself to say, they'll get beat.
All right, John, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that if anything happens tomorrow, I'm thinking 1-0 or 1-1, and then it goes back to Ajax and they take care of business. The only thing missing around the necks of those players is a gold chain with the Elvis TCB lightning bolt on it. That's what they need at practice every single day. That's how I'm looking at it. Until further notice, Ajax gets my benefit of the doubt because of how they have taken care of business, brother.
Ajax has faced one of the toughest defensive teams in Champions League with Juve. They were tough, they were organized, and Ajax still ran them.
They've basically DX chopped this entire tournament.
Yeah. I mean, they went against smarter defenders, better defenders, higher rated defenders than Spurs can offer. And Spurs can get them on a break, but Ajax over 90 minutes, that's 90 minutes of hell, baby. You don't want that smoke. And I'm saying that Ajax goes 2-1 at Spurs.
Wow.
I'm saying 2-1. They're going to get it. They're going to hammer it. Tottenham will score first. And then Ajax will settle in because they are a young team, but they are too young to be scared, and they will run Spurs out after that.
Are we completely forgetting Tottenham in the second leg at Manchester City? Or that just didn't happen, I guess. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Tottenham's just a garbage team now, I guess. Wow. Man, things change really fast. Well, the way you guys are talking about it, I mean, Tottenham shouldn't even show up. They should just, just say, no, we're good.
That'd make my prediction true. So just go ahead and don't show up. That'd be great.
I'm surprised at the swing here. This is interesting.
I will say because I believe that Ajax, the way that they play, the speed at which they play, the crispness of how they play, the fact that even if you score a goal on them, they don't care. They just keep coming at you. I'm reminded of Rocky II when Apollo Creed and his advisors are sitting in the room, right? And they're trying to talk about how they can get Balboa back in the ring. And Creed's trainer says,
Duke,
I saw you beat that man the way that no man has ever been beaten before, and he still kept coming after you. Now, we don't need that kind of man in our life, baby. And I'm telling you, Ajax is that man. You can beat them as much as you want, but they will keep coming after you. And yes, Man City is phenomenal, great, amazing. But Ajax is operating at a higher tempo than Man City does. And so I've watched them time and time again. I believe that they operate at a faster tempo than Man City does. And I think that Spurs are not going to be able to handle it.
I think the issue for Spurs, I'm just, it's funny that it's flipped so fast. And look, Ajax is the big story. Obviously, they are the darlings of the tournament. They are the Cinderella story of the Champions League in 2019. But Tottenham is a better team on paper. Doesn't mean they get it done. They're a better team. The concern for Tottenham is you're missing Harry Kane and you're missing Son tomorrow. You're coming off of a poor performance over the weekend in a rivalry match and a derby with West Ham. These are our concerns. Did Tottenham, were they looking ahead? Were they feeling the pressure a little bit? I do think you cannot diminish what they did in knocking Manchester City out. No one gave them a chance. None of us gave them a chance to go to Manchester City after the first leg. We all thought they needed more to get to this round. They needed more in the first leg. They didn't get it. There's no chance they go to the Etihad and get this done. And they did. It was crazy. It was insanity, but they did. How do they get it done tomorrow is the key without Kane and without Son. That's the part that makes this really, really tricky because
it's going to have to be Lucas Moura.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to have to be some people that it hasn't been. And
Llorente.
Well, no, I mean, it's going to have to be a guy like Christian Eriksen. That's who you're looking at here. And Eriksen, and actually quite a few Tottenham players going up against their former club in Ajax. It's going to be difficult. I don't think Tottenham will get the first leg big win that they need to be comfortable in the second leg. I think this one is going to be a 180-minute classic and maybe more. Probably more is what I'm leaning to. I think it's going to be tight tomorrow, but I do think Tottenham takes a narrow win, like a 2-1 is what I'm thinking. This isn't going to be easy for Ajax, and it's a little different this time because now Ajax doesn't have the home leg, and then they go away in the second leg. Doesn't matter. Nobody's giving them a chance anyway, and they go into somebody's house, and they steal everything and leave and get away before the cops show up. Now they're going to have to deal with hosting the second leg and the pressure that comes along with it. So I don't think by any stretch Ajax is the favorite here. I think it's a toss-up, and I think it might be one of the more fun Champions League semifinals that we've seen in a long, long time.
It just seems to me that this is a situation that is just there's a storybook ending here, and I want Ajax to win. I don't care about how often it happens. I'm talking about this year. I'm talking about this year right now. What happened in the past with potential storybook teams, they did not perform the way that Ajax is performing now consistently. They could get a game or two out where they played this heroic style, but Ajax is coming out now. They got like a teenager for a captain. They don't care. They know they're not going to be there next year. They have nothing to lose. It's one thing if you're going into this game with a super young team and you know, like, wow, okay, our legacies, maybe a long-term contract with Ajax. What is it? No. Almost the entire team knows they're going to be gone next year to bigger clubs. This is it. And I think there's also a freedom in that as well that none of these other teams are having to deal with, like Real Madrid, like Juventus, like Spurs. They don't have that freedom, I think. And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, or you guys disagree with the opinion, but I just think that a free team, young, fast, supremely gifted, I think they walk out of this. I think they walk out of this in convincing style.
I see. Convincing. That's where I think you're reading the fairy tales a little too much.
You've lost me there.
Convincing style, no. I think they can get through, obviously, because they're good and they're at this point. But you can play free and not feel pressure to a point. It's the semifinals. You are 180 minutes away from the final, a place where you never dreamed you'd be. You started in the qualifying rounds. Never dreamed you'd be at this stage. That hits you. It does hit you at one point, and then you don't play as free. Can they handle that? We'll have to see, because we don't have anything to go on when it comes to Ajax. They're young. Really, their players haven't been in this situation. We'll have to see how they handle it. Tottenham's players have dealt with pressure more. Tottenham, I think Mauricio Pochettino is trying to take that underdog mantle a little bit, talking about the injuries. And yes, it's a joke. We know that. Tottenham's roster much deeper, even with the injuries, than Ajax. But it's not going to be easy for Ajax when they come back home in the second leg, because it's not going to be convincing either way. Tottenham's not going to blow them out of the water tomorrow. Ajax isn't going to blow them out of the water tomorrow. It's going to be difficult. That pressure kicks in. It's not easy to do what Ajax is trying to do. If it was, you'd see teams keep that free play all the way through a competition when the Cinderella pops up.
Well, if I may,
Yep.
I say a 2-1 score, right? You say that my
I think 2-1 Tottenham. I think 2-1 Tottenham
is outlandish, but
no. You said convincing Ajax through the series. I'm talking through the series. You said a convincing Ajax win through the series. That's crazy.
I think 2-1 at Spurs is pretty convincing. 2-1 in London is pretty convincing.
2-1 at home is not convincing. No, you're giving up the away goal, and it's 2-1 at home against a team that on paper you should defeat by more than 2-1. I think it's 2-1 because it's going to be tight because Ajax is playing well, and you're missing some pieces, and you're going to have to deal with that. 2-1, and it's a dogfight at the Amsterdam Arena next week.
All right.
If you told me it goes in
electric.
If you told me that Tottenham wins this first game 2-0 and Ajax scores in Amsterdam in the beginning of their game and then it just turns into a Thunderdome for the next 80 minutes, I would take that to the bank all day.
I do think Ajax gets a goal in London. I think this is the game where you're going to see how free Ajax really is. It sounds weird to go back home and feel more pressure, but that's the mentality. That's the Dutch mentality, is you get very close, very, very close.
Oh, and you're going home to close it out.
Short. The Dutch mentality is you come up short in the big moment. It's been that way so many times. That pressure does kick in.
Well,
there is a fatalistic view. And true, yeah, and that's what makes this interesting. Exactly. No, that's what makes it really interesting, is you do have that element as well. I think Pochettino is changing that culture a little bit, and then the youth is changing it for Ajax. Which one sees it out? I mean, to me, Tottenham's the more talented team. Ajax is playing with great form. I think it's going to be a great series. I think it's going to go to extra time probably. It's going to be one of those types of deals. It's one for the ages. That's why I just don't think anybody's winning this convincingly. Tottenham should, on paper. I don't think they will because of the injuries. I don't think Ajax could win it convincingly here. If they do, more power to them, and then we'll see what they do in a final. But I think it's going to be a lot tighter than that.
Well, there we go. Okay. Well, we all agree that it's going to be absolute must-see TV. So I would recommend for everyone out there, and of course, I will not do this because I'm a very good employee at my 9 to 5, and I would never, ever, ever do this myself. But
no.
For individuals out there who may feel so inclined, I would recommend that you go ahead and start pitching to your boss that you're not feeling well, tummy, things like that. Something that's going to keep you out of the office for 2 days, because on Wednesday, get ready, Barcelona-Liverpool. Woo!
Dun, dun,
what do we got?
Dun.
What is it Klopp said? Camp Nou is not a shrine. What was the word that he used?
Not a temple of football.
Temple of football.
Let me get the quote here.
Yeah,
exactly.
This was interesting before he slandered the camp. Now it's
Jurgen Klopp said to DAZN, the Camp Nou is just a stadium, quite big, but not a temple of football.
Wow.
I wouldn't have said it. I think it's getting a little overblown,
good afternoon.
But I wouldn't have said it. Barcelona doesn't need any extra motivation here.
No,
they don't.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't care. this doesn't matter to them. Messi's not defending the Camp Nou. Messi's defending Messi and the Barcelona badge. And, I mean, Barcelona's a big favorite tomorrow. Are they the favorite in this tie, in your mind, Nick?
Yes, I think they are. Liverpool, can Liverpool pull something out? Sure. And especially if they feel that the Premier League is slipping away from them, absolutely. But I am a firm believer that bulletin board material does make a difference. And Messi has a tendency, especially now late in his career, to have games where he's not exactly, I don't want to say checked in, but he can kind of vanish at times. And then miraculously show up and, of course, devastate the planet in a single move. But I disagree with you in saying that he's showing up for, Messi and the badge. I believe the badge is, but Camp Nou is a part of that. And they will pitch this in that locker room as, regardless of what Klopp meant, what they're going to take it as is he's disrespecting Barcelona because Camp Nou is a part of us. It's part of who we are. It's part of our identity. This is a temple of football, and let's put on a show and shut this man up. And if you get a motivated Messi walking out that door, all bets are off. So I think that Barcelona is going to walk out of here a win. Now, will it be 2-1, anything like that? It could be. But I think the realistic score line will be 1-0 Barcelona. I think they can shut them down. Now the back line's weak. The back line is weak. The back line is weak for Barcelona. So let me go ahead and hedge that by saying it's out there. The 2-1 would not shock me, but I think that they can walk out of there with a 1-0 win.
Here's what Barcelona's really worried about. They're not worried about Jurgen Klopp's opinions on their stadium. They're worried about the referee. Bjorn Kuipers, Dutchman. He'll be in the middle for the match. He's been in charge, according to Mundo Deportivo, he's been in charge 8 times over the years for matches involving Barcelona. They are 3-1-4 in those matches. Last time he was involved in a Barcelona match was second leg of the quarterfinal against Juventus, which finished 0-0 after Juventus had won the first leg 3-0. Neymar was cautioned. Pjanic escaped punishment after a clash with Messi. Mundo Deportivo says Kuipers has a, quote, reputation as a permissive referee who takes time to whistle. And as we've talked about many times when it comes to Atlanta United, you want the ball a lot, you want possession a lot. You're going to get hit. You want fouls called. You're not going to get fouls called. You're going to get frustrated. Does Liverpool start kicking Lionel Messi all over the Camp Nou tomorrow, which is a temple of football anyway?
Well, that will make a difference, but also keep in mind that the diving wonder Mo Salah will also be affected by this as well because Liverpool people could kind of be, that man's diving left and right, and he doesn't need to because he's that good of a player, but this could also benefit Barcelona should Mo Salah start his diving theatrics.
It's going to be interesting.
Mo Salah on the springboard. Full-time result, Barca right now listed at -110. The draw option with Liverpool is the same. So basically, you have folks hedging their bets on tomorrow. Qualification, Barcelona -125, Liverpool at -106.
So kind of down the middle, honestly. It's pretty close to a toss-up. Jarrett, what are you thinking? Barca and Liverpool tomorrow, first leg.
Don't anger Messi, y'all. Like he doesn't need the excuse to just basically become one of the old masters. But he's gonna do it anyway, whatever. But Klopp's got experience in these situations. So who am I to say he won't find a way to, get this right? And not to say that he can't find a way, but he's going to find a way to get this right and make this interesting. I'm glad we discussed Mo Salah, though. That was fun. Because, we need to discuss the best diver since, I don't know.
Luganis?
Who was it? Yeah, I was going to say Luganis, but I couldn't think of anything more recent. I think
any of the Chinese divers of the last 4 Olympiads?
4, man, that's generous. I was thinking 6. But I think my thing with this is Barcelona didn't need an excuse to get, up to this. Like, they're going to get up for it anyway. They don't need an excuse in the same way that, we talk about, Liverpool, Tottenham's going to go with the underdog mindset. Well, they're not, but they're going to do what they need to do. I could see this being a situation where Barcelona has one of those games at the camp where it goes really well for them and they're able to just kind of shut things down and do kind of what Frank talked about in his post-game the other day. We're going to take the man advantage, work our way down the field with the advantage, get it on the foot of a Messi who's a better 1v1 player than you are a 1v1 defender, and get a killing goal on the road. I think the score would, in that instance, I think Barcelona can win it, 2-0 in Barcelona and then, 1-1 up in Liverpool and move on through here. I'm not going to be so bold as to say it'll happen, but it would certainly be the curse of the award if, Virgil van Dijk just has a shocking performance after winning an award as a defender for the year.
Yeah, I mean, isn't there an injury concern when it comes to him as well? There's a little bit of a worry about a foot injury. We'll have to see if that plays into it. Just know that you guys you've upset Nathan Pugh greatly. He doesn't like any of you anymore. He's quite angry with all of you. In 41 matches between Barcelona and English clubs at the Camp Nou, the visitors, the English clubs, have triumphed twice. 2 times in 41 matches. However, both of those wins were Liverpool. 1976, and then more recently 2-1 in the Camp Nou in the Champions League round of 16 in 2007.
That's fantastic. That's ancient history in soccer. I get it.
No, there's color pictures of the one from 2007. Steven Gerrard was there.
That's right.
Did he slip?
Oh, man, that's just mean. Nathan Pugh, OSG Nelson,
just like
you heard
Rangers
that.
have in the standings?
That's pretty true, actually. I can't really say anything about that one.
Look, this game's going to come down to Alisson Becker for Liverpool. If Alisson can stand on his head and have a great performance, which he can, Liverpool can walk out of this with a win. They are going to have to work magic and sacrifice chickens and other things in order to ensure that Messi doesn't pull off some kind of bat blank craziness, which he can do like no other person on the planet. And so if Alisson Becker has a great day, it can happen. Alisson did great things at Roma, right? We've watched games where he pulled out rabbits out of hats and cartwheels and cannons and things like that. But he's going to have to put on a show in order to top Barcelona. And I don't know if they can do that.
Here's the question I have.
Could you imagine?
Go ahead, Jared. Can
you imagine if Liverpool has another big game like this where they have you talk about him standing on his head. Man, imagine the inverse. Imagine Liverpool in another big game with a goalkeeper howler.
Oh,
it could happen.
The ghost of Karius.
I don't know if Alisson's that guy. Here's the question that always comes up when it comes to playing Barcelona. To press or not to press. Liverpool, we know what they want to do. We know who they are. Do they stay true to their identity? Does Jurgen Klopp play the Liverpool way, the Klopp way? Or does he change? That's the question, the biggest question I have here. Is he going to press all over the field? Is he going to be as aggressive? Or is he going to say, you know what, I'm going to pick my spots a little bit here. I don't want to press all over the field and have Messi kill me in 20 minutes or 30 minutes.
I think you press, and I think you test that Barcelona back line as quickly as possible. Because if you can sneak a goal, then the whole game changes. But
what if you concede early, though?
If you concede early, I still think you got to go. I still think you have to press. That's just my take on it. I think that's
of course. I think you do definitely there. But what if you concede early? Are you in big trouble?
Yeah, I think Barcelona can play keep away, and I think that they know how to do it. But I think you just got to do what you got to do, what you know how, and you got to press. Like just run nonstop.
What do you think, John?
I think that you do. So I think you do press to kind of show a change of pace, especially in that building. And I'm not as concerned if you give one up early because of the Barcelona backline. Looking at other numbers, and this is where I was leaning toward a score. The over-under's at 2.5, and the over is playing at -150. Both teams to score is a yes at -163, so I had 2-1 Barca.
Jarrett, how much pressing is Liverpool going to do here? Jarrett's going to press the wrong button.
Go again. Go again with that.
How much pressing is Liverpool going to do in this one?
I think you can press off the bat and try and shock them. I wouldn't be opposed to that strategy if I'm Liverpool and I'm a Liverpool fan. See if I can hit them in the mouth coming out of the first round and get an away goal. But like you said, I mean, it changes really quickly. And I kind of have this, as you're talking about pressing, I have this image in my head of the Atlanta-New York game last year in the playoffs where Red Bulls just back off completely and Atlanta goes, oh. Because if they don't press, I'd see Barcelona thinking, all right, well, we're just going to play this out and we're just going to rely on the best player in the world to be the difference maker.
Well, how many times have we seen that where teams go to face Barcelona and they're scared to press and they just sit behind the ball and get carved up eventually?
Yeah. You will need that goalkeeper standing on his head.
Yeah, well, I think you got to press. I do think you have to stay true to who you are. It's risky. It's incredibly risky in Barcelona in the first leg because I'm not as optimistic that if you concede early that this can't get out of hand in game one and make the second 90 minutes a formality. But you are who you are. And I think the stock answer for most teams when they face Barcelona is to sit and be afraid to step up high. I think you probably want to be a little more careful in it. You don't want to be overly aggressive, but you have to stay true to who you are and your DNA here. You don't want to risk too much, and maybe early you risk a little less and ease into it, but you have to show elements of who you are. It's a tough tightrope that Jurgen Klopp's going to walk here, and we'll see a lot of how he feels about his squad and what he feels like they can do in this scenario. But that's the thing I'm looking for in the first 15 is how aggressive is Liverpool, because I do really worry an early goal could completely put this thing away. Look, we've talked for 50 minutes now, and we have not talked about Marcelo Bielsa and Leeds and Aston Villa and all of the chaos from that, and we have to. I think everybody knows the situation by now. It's been pretty widely talked about, and the takes have been all over the place. A brief summary. Big game in the championship. Leeds collect the ball at midfield. Aston Villa player goes down holding his knee. Aston Villa's asking for the ball to be played out. It looked like Leeds was going to play it out. They didn't. They played it down the wing. Guy goes in and scores. And then all hell breaks loose. Aston Villa players grab the player. They're slinging him around. Everybody's slinging everybody around. Benches are yelling at each other. Shirts are being almost tugged over heads. It's almost turning into a hockey fight. It's madness. And after all of that, an Aston Villa player's red carded, which I think was correct. And then the kickoff, Marcelo Bielsa instructed his Leeds players to allow Aston Villa to score. Now, Janssen, one of the center backs, either didn't like the instruction or didn't get it, and he halfway challenged it and then argued with teammates, and everything was a mess. John Terry trying to argue about fairness with Marcelo Bielsa after Bielsa allowed Villa to equalize is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, that's a sideshow to the bigger question. And I have seen so many different takes from so many different people from so many different backgrounds. I just want to hear from you guys. Jarrett, did Marcelo Bielsa do the right thing? He's got to think about it.
I do. I understand why Bielsa did what he did, and I don't hate it outright. I also kind of, when I saw it all unfold and I saw the footage of it, like one of the first things that entered my head is looking at the Aston Villa players and thinking, you still have to play because the whistle has not blown and you chose not to do that. Like half of y'all chose to stand around and throw your hands up in the air yelling about the whistle. At least still move in the direction of your own goal for defensive purposes, please. But y'all did not do that. Everybody got out of control, and I think the kerfuffle that unfolded contributed to the way it all went down. And then, you have the whether or not the guy heard it or not that plays into it. I don't hate Bielsa for doing it. I want to know what John Terry said to him that he was so upset after the fact of it all. I would love to know what that conversation was like.
There's been some interesting lip-reading people who have chimed in on that, and all of them are looking very bad for John Terry and what he said to Marcelo Bielsa potentially.
That's the least surprising thing you've told me.
Yeah,
since
there was
that's
an
the least surprising thing
there.
I've heard. The least surprising thing I've heard since someone said Joey Barton harassed someone verbally. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much where you're at.
So I understand why he did it. I'm still going to be saying the Aston Villa players hey, that whistle ain't blown. You still have to play. If you stand there and throw your hands up in the air and get upset about it because the guy's down the field, the official doesn't blow it. You are at the mercy of Marcelo Bielsa in this case, who instructed his team to let you go down and score. He didn't have to do that, and next coach might not do that. So I would take that honestly as if our guy goes down. If you want a center forward to go yell at the ref, cool. But if you're on the back line, don't throw your hands up yelling. Keep playing. Whistle ain't blown yet. It's a game still with high stakes. This wasn't just some mid-card game. This was a high stakes game.
John, did Bielsa do the right thing?
Can I tell you what Gustavo said first?
No, I'm asking you, your opinion.
I'm honestly, I'm with Jared here. I'm more on the fact that the Villa players stopped. You don't have to in a game that meant as much as this one did. You were more paying attention to trying to convince the other team to stop than you were about doing your own job. Did he do the right thing? I think. I'm trying to figure out the right adjective or adverb here. I don't know if it was the morally correct thing to do, the whatever comparative you're looking for here. I see why he did it, but at the same time, I'm looking more at the Aston Villa players for them stopping, much like Jared is. It's they didn't have to stop, but I guess to keep a riot from getting completely and totally out of hand, that's why Bielsa did what he did, I'm guessing. But right, for me, there are shades there. I'm more on the Villa players.
Nick, what about you?
I think what he did was ethical, but it's not what I would have done. If the ref doesn't blow the whistle, you play the game. And if Bielsa wanted to do the right thing, he should have done it at the right time, which is tell his player to boot the ball out. But
might not have been able to.
If I'm Bielsa, I let it go, because I'm not going to put my players in a position to have to let someone score and then have to deal with the potential of the FA coming in and saying that we're rigging games because we allowed someone to just go and score. It opens you up. Remember when Ian Holloway was at Blackpool and he ran out what they thought was a second-tier lineup, and they stepped in and tried to get him to put in a full-strength lineup. And Ian Holloway said, I'm the manager of Blackpool. I'll play who I like. My thing is that what Bielsa did is great because we're talking about it. But in this world of high-stakes sports and high-stakes football, goal differential counts. Wins count. And if the game had gone sideways and Leeds loses, are we still talking about this and giving him praise or saying, Bielsa, man, what in the hell were you doing? I play the whistle. There's no whistle, keep going, because I'm not messing my team's chances up to get promoted because some guy launches himself on the ground. I'm not playing that. And if the guy needs a stretcher, he'll get one, but we're still going to win the game.
A couple things to keep in mind about the situation. So Sheffield United had all but clinched the second spot already. So Leeds would have had to win this. Sheffield United would have had to lose their final game in league play. Leeds would have had to win and flip the goal differential by like 14. So Sheffield United was the number 2. They were getting the automatic spot. Leeds is not quite locked into the 3, but they're pretty close. They control their own destiny, and they would have with a loss or a win. Or a win would have clinched it. The draw, they still have work to do in the 3 spot. Villa was pretty well locked into where they are at 5. They weren't moving anywhere. So their histrionics about it's a little ridiculous, in my opinion. I think everybody agrees that Aston Villa was wrong here. I haven't seen anybody say that Aston Villa handled themselves well. You keep playing. It was a challenge that we see over and over again in the middle of the field. Player goes down grabbing his knee. I don't believe he had to be substituted. I don't believe he had to be stretchered off.
I don't think he did,
it was just a play, and he was down and grabbed his knee. The thing I didn't like, and I don't know how intentional it was that it looked like they were going to play it out, and then they didn't. That's the biggest wrong here that Bielsa would be trying to right. It's not so much that they scored, it's the way they did. If they had just played and ignored the pointing to playing it out and not hesitate, I don't think we'd be having the same conversation. It would have been testy, but not the same. The fact that he slowed up and looked to the touchline and then didn't play it out, that's the bigger problem that happened. Can't do that. You can't do the okie doke. That part's a problem. I understand why Bielsa did it because of that situation specifically. I think he felt bad about that. Ethically, he did the right thing. Sportsmanship, he did the right thing. Arsene Wenger came out and said it's a great thing for football. It's so funny, the responses and who they're coming from. It's so funny to hear different people. So Wenger, it's a beautiful thing. It's a great thing. It's a great day. People saying this is a great thing for Leeds. It's great for putting the club on the map. And again, it's a great thing about just doing things the right way. Then you get Craig Burley and Steve Nicol are basically like, what? Why? Why would you do that? Like, why would you do it? The referee's got to blow the whistle. Why would you do it? Go play. In Argentina, it's very, very, very split. Very split. Like, I looked at Clarín, which is the major sports paper out of Buenos Aires, and it's like half and half. I mean, it's you got this guy saying, it's a great thing, it's a beautiful thing. Gabriel Batistuta, Argentine legend, said Bielsa did what is ethically appropriate. Then you've got people saying it was horrible and it was stupid, and Gustavo is on that camp. Our friend Gustavo Rodriguez, Independiente fan in Buenos Aires, says that it was the wrong thing to do. It's a very complicated situation, and we've never seen it to this degree before. I can't think of a situation to even compare this to. No. I've got nothing.
Well, here's where I agree with Gustavo. Right? He said he didn't respect his players and forced them to let themselves concede a goal. His ethical illusionment hurt the team to get the promotion. He undermined his authority to lead the team. That part I don't necessarily wholeheartedly agree with there,
yeah,
Gustavo.
It's maybe a little bit too far. We have to see. We have to see what happens in the next match.
But I do think, as a defender, there's nothing worse than letting a team score on you, even one, because it changes your mindset on how you approach the game. It undermines your confidence a little bit. No matter how the goal was scored, it still puts a ding in the confidence. And that really is where I agree with Gustavo wholeheartedly, is that you're doing the right thing. But again, I think it's, that doesn't necessarily, as we learn on Game of Thrones all the time. I know you guys don't watch, but there are a lot of people who listen who do. A lot of times,
the hell I don't.
doing the right thing can lead you down a bad path. Unfortunately, no good deed goes unpunished, and I hope this doesn't come back to punish Leeds in the end.
No, here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping it comes back and is rewarded, because you guys were believing in fairy tales earlier. You were believing that Ajax has this sealed up and they're going to win the Champions League. I get it. Here's my fairy tale.
I didn't say they're going to win the Champions League.
No, you basically did. You did. You got the jersey. We know. It's all good. It's all good. But here's my fairy tale, because I guess
the only jersey I have is San Jose, who have not lost since I got that jersey.
Frightening. Well, they've tied, but anyway. Here's my fairy tale. Leeds finishes third. They play Frank Lampard in Derby County in the semifinals and destroy them, just utterly destroy them and humiliate them. And Frank Lampard cries on the touchline. Like, I want him to sit down and openly weep on the touchline. Then, in a how much is the game worth now? Hundreds of millions of dollars?
Yeah.
First, I want Aston Villa to beat West Brom in the other semifinal, because I want a Leeds-Aston Villa rematch at Wembley for all the dinero. And I want Marcelo Bielsa to kick John Terry where the sun doesn't shine. I want him to ruin the day of Frank Lampard and John Terry on the way to getting Leeds promoted. That is what should happen because of this.
I like that. I'm down.
Vengeance.
Yeah, I can co-sign this.
That's my fairy tale.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Now, guys, I just wanted to be known that our fairy tale is far more realistic than Jason's, but we all co-sign it.
Oh, no.
So
No.
live your dreams, Jason.
I have dreams. I have
and,
hopes.
and I will pick up a Leeds United kit that is not that nasty new logo that they had for about 15 seconds with the muscular
got rid of that.
dude.
Marcelo Bielsa doesn't believe in that, so that doesn't happen.
Mercifully.
You can stop. It didn't happen. That was a cruel joke. It didn't happen.
Oh.
It was like on Dallas when they woke up and realized it was all a dream.
Yep. Just
Good morning, darling.
Really quick before we get out of here, I want to hit on this Maurizio Sarri
yes,
story. Yes,
we do need to finish with this.
The Athletic. Yep. We'll go in a little bit of stoppage time here. So essentially, yet another fantastic piece from The Athletic. If you are not subscribed to The Athletic, what are you doing with your life? Please reallocate funds accordingly and get you a subscription. So essentially, the article goes into the idea that in Italy, Maurizio Sarri is viewed as a genius, an innovator, somebody who he was like managerial Rocky Balboa. He took Juve to the brink and finally was the first person who got so close to dethroning the mighty Juve. And yet in England, he's viewed as a pariah, this guy who doesn't know what he's doing. He's too stubborn for his own good. Saudi balls, no, it doesn't work. It's horrible in the Prem. Guys, where's the truth? And on which side of the line do you fall, England or Italy?
The perception thing is amazing, and I think we're seeing this more and more in the United States, because we get such a conglomeration of viewpoints of the game and touchstones for the game in this country, probably more than anywhere else in the world, of people who have been inspired by the English game, the German game, the Mexican game, the South American game, every country in Europe. I mean, and every country looks at it differently. It's really fascinating to see. Dan Levine wrote the piece over at The Athletic, and he writes about Chelsea. Outstanding writer. He's covered a lot about the racism issues that Chelsea's had and still has, and just every aspect of the club. And it's a fascinating time to read about Chelsea with all of this going on. The thing that jumped out to me, I was trying to find that specific piece that I shared with you guys that summed it all up to me. It's just two different ways of looking at the game. And I don't know if one's right and one's wrong, but it's just a completely different way of deciding what the game is, what's good, what's bad, what's overrated, what's underrated. And, I mean, do I think Maurizio Sarri is a poor manager and should be canned after a year? No, not at all. Not at all. I think that's insanity. Chelsea does a lot of insane things.
Welcome to Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they do. But is he a poor manager? No. Anybody who thinks that, I think, is foolish. Is he the king? I don't know about that. I don't know how much he's proven in that regard, but he's obviously very, very good. And I think Chelsea would be making a mistake to run him out of town. Here's the line that I jumped out on, talking about different terminology, because a lot of the article talked about how the game is more maybe analytical in other countries than in England. And I think this is definitely a conversation that crosses over to the United States and how we all talk about the game. I mean, Nick, you can speak to La Gazzetta dello Sport and how just immense its influence is. And it's not just like, this guy played good, this guy played bad, this guy was feeling really good about it, this guy wasn't. It's like encyclopedic in the way that they discuss the match and the analysis of it. And all the different terminology, a regista and a trequartista and a segunda punta and all the stuff. And you get it in Spanish too. You get it in Argentina a lot. But these terms, there's not really like translations for the roles. And Levine wrote, they are subcategorizations that largely don't exist in the English language, mainly because the over-intellectualization, that's a tough word to say, of football.
Over-intellectualization.
Yes, is frowned upon here. Don't think about it too much. That's not good. That's scary.
In Italy, there's the joke that grandmas can do whiteboard sessions. That, I mean, the stuff that we talk about over here, where, you know, we you guys see it whenever you do stoppage time, over at the station, that when you guys do whiteboard sessions, people start nerding out and they chime in. Oh, completely nerding out right now. Well, in Italy, that's like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. It's no big deal.
That's every show.
And they have every press conference drags on and on and on over the most minute tactical adjustments. And that's what they get pelted with in Italy. Not, hey, we may have caught you out on the town with your mistress. Any comment on that? No, they don't care. What they want to know is, hey, why did you slot that guy deeper than he was last week? Whenever this particular team ran out this formation, you know that's not required. Go into more detail about that, and then let's talk about it for another 45 minutes. That's
Antonio Conte.
Yeah.
Conte was just frustrated with press conferences in England, and he was frustrated about questions about how he felt about things. And he said, in Italy, they ask about my tactics. I mean, what are we talking about
and
here?
That's it. And Sarri is somebody who, you see his press conferences. He's not a charismatic man. He just goes on and on. Like, yeah, he's like, the player play well, and so
what we try to do is we try to make sure that we put players in the best positions possible, so we can get the best result.
That's it. Exactly, 100%. And so, he's not a media darling, and he doesn't have that kind of flair that you got from Jose Mourinho. Or
what do you mean? I don't have the kind of.
What about the other? The other Italians that you've had at Chelsea, Ancelotti, absolutely has. I think that.
Yes, but here's the thing: right now at Napoli, finishing second, they would boot Carlo out in a moment with all the Champions League trophies that man has won, with all the league titles that man has won. They would boot him out for Sarri immediately.
Would Chelsea boot Sarri out for Ancelotti immediately? Because I think they would.
Yeah, I think they would. And it goes to fit. I think Sarri's a great fit at Chelsea? Not really, but it's a situation where if you let that man go, Roma, Milan, and Inter will be just waiting with agents at his doorstep.
I think he's a great manager. I don't think personality-wise he fits the identity of who Chelsea is. I think there is an element of you do have to have that personality to bridge some of that gap. It is different, and that's what was so fascinating about this article is that just getting into the differences between the way the game is thought about in England and in Italy, and you could take any two countries and compare them. Fascinating to me. I love that stuff. But I think Sarri has made mistakes at Chelsea. I think the criticism has been incredibly overblown. And now it's, what do you do? Where do you go next? Because it doesn't seem like there's a fit for him to stay, and he'll have plenty of jobs. And who do you get to come to Chelsea?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially with a transfer ban. Yeah, let me know who's getting in line for that one. So
you can get Frank Lampard after Derby County doesn't get promoted.
Well, enjoy.
And you can hire John Terry as the assistant. And there you go. Just have fun. Just go at it.
And they will fall in the exact same trap as AC Milan has, where they go and say, hey, which club legend has a coaching license again? Yeah, get that guy up, because that'll make the fans really happy. And that's what AC Milan needs to go away from and find the next coaching candidate who has zero ties to the club.
Sometimes it may be good.
Sometimes it may be.
Yeah. Sorry.
Just like the show.
Yeah, that's also true.
Also true. And so thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We're going to wrap stoppage time there. I have my homemade chicken soup that I have to get to. And the Duchess is absolutely thrilled anytime I make chicken soup. So I have to go and spend some family time here.
I'm crashing Nick's party then.
Hey,
I got date night.
There's plenty. Everyone is welcome to come on over. So make it happen. All right. So guys, thank you again so much for putting on the show, everything that you guys do. Jason, John, Jarrett, you guys are amazing as always. Our wonderful listeners. And Nathan Pugh, yes, I think Liverpool's scared. Sorry, put that out there. So have fun with it. Chime in, Nathan. We love it when you chime in. Same with Gustavo, pinging in from Argentina. We're international, baby. That's how we do here on Soccer Over There. You can hit us up at Sock Over There. You can hit me up at Nick Alifi, the Garlic Bread Warlord. Gentlemen, please showcase your skills and talents and let the people know where they can find you.
Long shoe, word.
At OSG Nelson on the Soccer Down Here app, available iOS and Android.
Get that app. Make your lives better. You're going to live an exciting life with Soccer Down Here, the SDH network, Soccer Over There.
And send your hot Scottish takes to Jarrett_Smith.
Haggis for the Haggis Over There secret 13th hour.
Secret 13th hour. Okay, we will be back next Monday. Until then, I will probably chime in on tomorrow's Champions League. We're getting toward the end of the quarter at my 9 to 5, so work is crazy. So I will definitely try to get you guys a hot drop on the tomorrow's results, and I will be dancing in the streets when Ajax wins.
Don't cry.
And I can call out Jason Longshore.
Don't cry.
And put on the ultimate wrestling promo. Until then, mucha, mucha Euro, y'all.
All the way.